the only 4 exercises you need to fully develop your shoulders. Broad and well-developed shoulders are the fundamental piece for building that V-shaped physique we so admire. Unfortunately, many people spend years training shoulders without seeing significant results, thus creating enormous frustration with this muscle group. And believe it or not, genetics isn't to blame. Most simply don't know how to structure an efficient workout for the deltoids, make basic mistakes in execution, and don't understand the importance of proper periodization. So today you'll see, based on science, the only 4 exercises you really need to fully develop your shoulders. But first, we need to talk about the 3 main errors that prevent most people from developing strong shoulders, because no matter how perfect the exercise selection is, if you continue making these mistakes. Error number 1. Always leaving shoulder exercises for the end of the workout. One of the most common mistakes is leaving shoulder training for the end of the session, especially on chest training days. After exhausting the body with bench presses, flies, and other intense exercises, the shoulder muscles are already pre-fatigued and unable to handle the stimulus necessary for growth. The deltoid, despite seeming small, is a complex muscle that requires dedicated attention. When you train chest, your anterior deltoids are already being heavily recruited. Arriving at specific shoulder exercises with this muscle already fatigued means you won't be able to use appropriate loads or maintain ideal technique to effectively stimulate muscle growth. The solution? Dedicate specific days for shoulder training or position them at the beginning of the session when combining them with other muscle groups. Remember, prioritize what you want to develop. If your shoulders are lagging behind, they deserve to be at the top of your priority list, not as an additional at the end of an already exhaustive workout. Error 2. Letting the trapezius do most of the work. This is possibly the most detrimental error for deltoid development. Many people, in the eagerness to lift more weight or through simple ignorance of proper technique, end up transforming shoulder exercises into exercises for the trapezius. What happens is simple. When you elevate your shoulders during movements like the lateral raise, you transfer tension from the deltoids to the trapezius. It's a common compensation that your body naturally makes to make the exercise easier, but it completely sabotages your goals. To identify if you're making this mistake, pay attention if your shoulders rise toward your ears during execution. Another tip is to observe yourself from the side in the mirror during the lateral raise. Always keep your shoulders down and back throughout the entire movement. Focus on feeling the deltoid working, lower your ego, and accept that using less weight with perfect technique will produce infinitely superior results in the long run. Error 3. Not working all 3 heads of the deltoid. The deltoid is not a single muscle, but rather composed of 3 distinct portions: anterior deltoid, located at the front of the shoulder; lateral deltoid, located at the side of the shoulder; and the posterior deltoid, located at the back of the shoulder. Each of these portions needs to be trained adequately to create that 3-dimensional look that characterizes well-developed shoulders. The problem is that most people focus excessively on the anterior part and neglect or perform insufficient movements for the other 2 portions. To solve this imbalance, our workout will be structured with 2 exercises for the lateral deltoid, 1 for the anterior and 1 for the posterior. Why this distribution? Because the lateral deltoid is primarily responsible for that broad shoulders appearance that creates the coveted V-shaped physique. Additionally, the anterior deltoid already receives plenty of stimulation during chest workouts, while the posterior is partially worked during back exercises. This doesn't mean we can ignore them, but it justifies the additional emphasis on the lateral deltoid. Now let's get to the 4 essential exercises that will form the basis of your new transformative workout. Exercise 1. Cable lateral raise. The cable lateral raise is possibly the most efficient exercise for developing the lateral deltoid. Unlike the dumbbell version, the cable provides constant tension throughout the entire range of motion, which is crucial for muscle hypertrophy. What makes this exercise so special is the force vector. In the lateral raise with dumbbells, the most difficult moment is when the arm is parallel to the ground, as that's when gravity exerts the greatest resistance. With the cable, the resistance remains consistent throughout the range, and depending on positioning, you can even intensify tension at points that are normally weaker in the movement. To execute correctly, position yourself beside the cable machine, with the pulley adjusted to waist height or slightly below. Hold the handle with the hand opposite to the side where the machine is. If you're to the right of the machine, use your left hand. Move slightly away to create initial tension in the cable. Maintain a slight bend in the elbow, which should remain constant throughout the movement. With the palm facing down or slightly backward, raise the arm laterally until it's parallel to the ground or slightly above. Focus on using only the strength of the deltoid, keeping the trapezius relaxed. Avoid using body momentum to initiate the movement. Don't elevate your shoulders and control the eccentric phase of the movement. Regarding load and volume, this is an exercise that responds extremely well to moderate to high repetitions. I recommend 3 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions, with total focus on deltoid contraction and maintaining constant tension. An advanced strategy that works exceptionally well with this exercise is the drop set technique. After reaching concentric failure with a certain weight, immediately reduce the load by approximately 30% and continue for 6 to 8 more repetitions. This will create an intense metabolic stimulus that favors muscle growth. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Having constant access to science-based information is what will make you progress with health in the long term in the world of bodybuilding. Exercise 2. Dumbbell front press. The dumbbell front press is one of the most effective exercises for the anterior deltoid, offering significant advantages over the barbell version. By using dumbbells, you allow a more natural rotation of the wrists during the movement, reducing stress on the shoulder joints and maximizing muscle activation. The biomechanics of this exercise are fascinating. When you push the dumbbells up from the front of your body, the anterior deltoid works as the primary mover of the movement, especially during the first half of the range. That's exactly why we need to pay special attention to execution, to ensure that the stimulus remains in the deltoid throughout the movement. To execute correctly, start by sitting on a bench with a vertical backrest. Hold a dumbbell in each hand at shoulder height, with palms facing forward. Keep your core contracted and shoulders down and back. Inhale and, as you exhale, push the dumbbells upward in a slightly arched movement. Stop the movement when your arms are almost extended, but never lock your elbows. This is a crucial detail that differentiates correct from incorrect execution. When you fully extend your arms, the responsibility of supporting the weight partially transfers to the triceps, momentarily reducing activation of the anterior deltoid. Always maintain a slight bend in the elbows at the highest point to keep constant tension in the target muscle. You also need to avoid 4 other common mistakes: excessively arching your back to assist in the movement, opening the elbows too much, keep the elbows at 45 degrees relative to the trunk, hitting the dumbbells at the top of the movement, and lastly, lowering the dumbbells too quickly, losing control of the eccentric phase. For volume and intensity, this exercise works best in the range of 8 to 12 repetitions. I recommend 3 sets, using a weight that allows you to maintain perfect technique while still challenging the muscles. Exercise 3. Reverse machine fly. The reverse machine fly is an exceptional exercise for developing the posterior deltoid, a frequently neglected area that is crucial for creating complete and balanced shoulders. Besides contributing to aesthetics, a well-developed posterior deltoid significantly improves posture and reduces the risk of shoulder injuries. The advantage of the machine over cable or dumbbell versions is the stability provided, which allows you to focus exclusively on the contraction of the posterior deltoid without concerns about balance or stabilization. This is particularly valuable for beginners or people who have difficulty feeling this muscle working. The reverse machine fly also offers benefits beyond hypertrophy. It helps correct common postural imbalances caused by long hours sitting or by excessive focus on pushing exercises. A strong posterior deltoid contributes to healthier shoulders and significantly reduces the risk of impingement syndrome and other common injuries. For those with shoulder mobility issues, the position allows comfortable movement even for people with a history of discomfort in other deltoid exercises. To execute correctly, sit in the fly machine with your chest against the support and adjust the bench so that the handles are aligned with your shoulders. Hold the handles with your arms extended in front of you. Maintain a slight bend in the elbows that should remain constant throughout the exercise. Pull the handles backward and outward, creating an opening the arms movement. Return controllably to the starting position. The most important point in executing this exercise is ensuring that the force comes exclusively from the posterior deltoid. It's extremely common to see people using the trapezius and rhomboids as primary movers, which drastically reduces the effectiveness of the movement for deltoid development. To ensure correct activation, focus on keeping your shoulders down and think of the movement as if you were trying to separate your elbows to the sides, not just pulling backward. Common errors to avoid include elevating your shoulders, letting the trapezius take over the movement, flexing your elbows during the exercise to compensate with the biceps, not fully retracting the scapulae at the point of contraction, and returning too quickly to the starting position. As for volume, since we'll only be performing one exercise for this part, I recommend 4 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions. Additionally, the posterior deltoid, like the lateral, is predominantly composed of slow twitch fibers, responding better to moderate to high volumes with perfect control. Exercise 4. Dumbbell lateral raise. You didn't think I was going to abandon the classic, did you? Despite being an apparently simple exercise, small details in execution can make a huge difference in the results obtained. What makes the dumbbell lateral raise particularly valuable is the freedom of movement it provides. You can subtly adjust the angle, wrist rotation, and trajectory to find the position that maximizes the activation of your specific lateral deltoid. To execute correctly, stand with feet shoulder-width apart and hold a dumbbell in each hand. You can also perform this seated on a bench, but let's focus on the traditional standing version. Maintain a slight forward lean of the trunk. Position the dumbbells in front of your body with a slight bend in the elbows. Raise your arms laterally until they are in line with your shoulders. Don't go beyond this. Finally, lower controllably, resisting gravity. As I mentioned previously, this exercise responds exceptionally well to higher repetitions. I recommend 4 sets of 15 to 20 repetitions. Yes, this is higher than usual, but trust the process. The lateral deltoid has a high concentration of slow twitch fibers that respond better to this type of stimulus. Besides cheating with the trapezius, other common errors to avoid include using body momentum to initiate the movement, excessively bending the elbows during the movement, lowering the arms too quickly, losing eccentric control. An extremely effective advanced technique for this exercise is partial repetitions. After reaching concentric failure with complete repetitions, continue performing the upper half of the movement for 6 to 8 more repetitions. This will maintain tension in the most active portion of the lateral deltoid, prolonging the growth stimulus. Regarding load, it's important to be realistic. The lateral raise is not an exercise to impress with heavy weights. Even professional bodybuilders rarely use dumbbells above 35 pounds for this movement, prioritizing technique and mind-muscle connection over ego. Use a weight that allows you to maintain perfect technique while still challenging the muscle in the last repetitions. To maximize results, experiment with different variations of time under tension. For example, raise the weight for 1 second, hold at the top for 2 seconds, and lower for 3 seconds. If you can do it in front of a mirror, that's also good. This allows monitoring not just the height of the arms, but also ensuring that you're not compensating with the trapezius. Shoulder elevation is subtle and often imperceptible without this visual feedback. Bonus exercise, EZ bar upright row. For those who have difficulty correctly executing the dumbbell lateral raise, the EZ bar upright row is an excellent alternative. This exercise strongly recruits the lateral deltoid while offering more intuitive mechanics for many people. We'll use the EZ bar as it provides a more comfortable grip for the wrists compared to the traditional straight bar, reducing stress on the joints. Additionally, the vertical movement is easier to conceptualize for beginners, making it simpler to maintain appropriate technique. To execute correctly, hold the bar with hands approximately shoulder-width apart, using the bar's curve for a comfortable wrist position. Keep the bar in front of your body, with arms extended. Pull the bar vertically, visualizing giving an upward elbow. Continue raising until the bar is close to your chin or at chest height. Lower controllably to the starting position. It's important to note that this exercise partially recruits the trapezius, which can be seen as an advantage for those seeking more complete development of the upper body region. However, To focus more on the deltoids, concentrate on leading the movement with the elbows, not the hands, and always keep them higher than the wrists. For volume and intensity, I recommend 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions with a higher load. Now let's briefly talk about progression and training volume. Shoulders are not as small muscles as many believe. In fact, the 3 bundles of the deltoid together form a considerable muscle group that requires an adequate volume of training to fully develop. Therefore, it's crucial not to underestimate the weekly volume necessary to stimulate optimal growth. Based on the most recent research on hypertrophy, I recommend approximately 15 weekly sets dedicated to shoulders. This can be distributed in 1 or 2 workouts per week, depending on your routine and preferences. An effective approach is to perform a complete shoulder workout and repeat 1 or 2 of the exercises on another day of the week. For example, you could do Day 1, all 4 main exercises. After about 3 days, just cable lateral raise. This distribution ensures sufficient volume while allowing adequate recovery between training sessions. For those who have specific difficulty developing the anterior or posterior deltoid, don't hesitate to add an additional exercise for the problematic portion. For the anterior deltoid, the front raise is an excellent addition, while for the posterior, the rope face pull offers a valuable complementary stimulus. Remember that progression is fundamental. Gradually increase the weight when you can comfortably complete the target number of repetitions with perfect technique. If you like this and also want to discover a complete chest workout, we've just put on screen a video where we talk exclusively about that. And as you can already imagine, always based on science. Don't forget to check it out. Thank you for watching this far, and may God bless you, my friend.